Quick episode recap. Rin welcomes Yuya and Kaeta back. She inquires whether their fishing trip was fruitful, and Kaeta explains how amazing Yuya was for catching so many fish with his bare hands. Rin gets shocked, but considering his insane athletic abilities, she doesn't question it. He then notices Akira lying in a strange position, but Rin tells Yuya to ignore him, inciting Akira's anger. It was nice initially when they were out collecting mushrooms and plants, but eventually, he was forced to scale cliffs, test mushrooms for poison, and even be a decoy to escape bears. This alarms Yuya, and while Akira states he's glad to be of service, he comes over to check on his status. Luckily, there aren't any abnormalities, and he tells him to be more careful, moving Akira with his concern. With that settled, Rin wants to show the group what they've collected. They've gathered many things, and Yuya uses the system to identify what each is. Upon noticing a poisonous mushroom among them, he quietly removes them without anyone's notice. Yuya then wonders who would be the one cooking, but everyone evades his gaze. Leaving that aside, the group goes over to the teachers to show them what they've got. While looking for their teacher, he bumps into Kaori, who asks how his assignment is going. If it didn't focus so much on survival, they'd likely enjoy it more, but regardless, Yuya agrees with Kaori that it's been very fun. After she leaves, Akira walks over and demands to know how he's so close to Kaori. He's very envious of their relationship, shouting he wants to be close to Princess Kaori as well. At his confusion, Rin explains that with her lofty position as the chairman's daughter, elegant demeanor, and kind personality, people refer to her as a princess. After looking through the group's materials, Miss Sawada gives them a perfect score, surprised by the quantity and the fact that everything is edible, stating Yuya's group is the first to do both. She warns, however, that their cooking will also be graded, and questions who will make the food, with everyone pointing to Yuya. Her bonus pay rides on his meal, so she pleads for him to do his best. Yuya begins preparing dinner, filleting fish, and cutting the plants for use, while his group watches. What he's prepared seems to be an exorbitant meal, considering they are foraging ingredients in the mountains. Everyone immediately picks up the fried fish, and quickly falls into silence after trying it. At this moment, several teachers happen to pass by, and Miss Sawada gets shocked by the quality food. They ask to try some as well, and again become quiet. Yuya gets worried, but everyone exclaims that it's delicious. They praise how tasty his cooking is, but Miss Sawada interrupts saying that his cooking is even better than the food provided by the first-rate chefs at school. This flusters Yuya, but he reflects that watching everyone enjoy themselves makes him happy. After eating their fill, Miss Sawada suddenly suggests Yuya consider marrying her. She can't do housework well, and she's only been invested in things like research, so she's remained single all this time. She's willing to even risk her bonus pay, sincerely asking Yuya to marry and take care of her. She's clearly a bit drunk, going after her own student, and her fellow teachers attribute it as part of her complex about never having had a boyfriend. Kaede suddenly interrupts, insisting that Yuya is no good, making him misunderstand that she means he's a failure. Regardless, Miss Sawada is willing to wait for as long as it takes. The criticism from everyone causes her to tear up, and when Yuya tries to cheer her up, she shoves her plot into his face at his words. Kaede wants to pull him away, but he remains stuck in an enviable situation. Rin watches on with amusement, but is quick to let them know that Yuya is suffocating. Knight was waiting patiently at home, but swiftly greets Yuya when he teleports back. He pulls out some ingredients from his storage, and makes a meal for him to enjoy. Yuya reflects that he enjoys making others happy, so watching everyone enjoy and compliment his cooking also made him very happy. He then teleports back since it's bath time, and ends up being the center of attention in the men's changing room. He doesn't understand that his body is attractive, and assumes there's something wrong with him. Akira tells him off, outraged that someone in the Go Home Club would have such a ripped body, and vents his own inadequacies at Yuya. On the other side, Rin sneakily grabs Kaede's plot and fondles it, astonished someone with such plot would be in track and field club. Kaede protests to the approaching Kaori and Yukine that Rin is harassing her, but Rin insists she's complimenting her ability to attract men instead. The girls are envious of her large plot, but Rin states Miss Sawada's plot is even larger. At her mention, Kaede complains to them that their teacher was pressuring Yuya into marrying her, surprising Kaori. As they retell what happened, Kaede resolves to seduce Yuya in the same manner, though she refutes Kaori that it's Yuya she wants. Kaori wonders sadly whether Yuya likes busty women. The next morning, some students awaken to find that their materials have been rummaged through and destroyed. Luckily, Yuya's group finds their things intact and prepares to go out to look for breakfast ingredients. Akira seems to be disturbed by something, and it is only when Rin calls him that he breaks out of his thoughts. What he was troubled by was the large bear print on the ground. The group is occupied looking for edible plants, but Yuya notices that Akira is distracted. These are bear claw marks, and Yuya recounts Akira's earlier comment about bears. But he realizes too late as they've now encountered one. They lead it to the camp, where the bear rains havoc on the site. The teachers order the students to gather behind them, and Miss Sawada urgently calls Yuya's group over from behind the table. She urges them to head toward the others, but while running, she trips and falls over. Just as the bear swipes at her, Yuya holds it back in the nick of time, and he begins to wrestle with it. Using his strength, Yuya lifts and throws it to the ground, knocking it unconscious. As he checks up on his teacher, Miss Sawada states she would normally lecture him, but decides to let him off the hook, instead thanking him for saving her. She offers herself as a reward, but he politely refuses. They will need to wait until the police arrive to deal with the bear, so while they wonder how to restrain it, the school doctor offers to use her medicine on it. However, Kaori informs everyone that the bear will serve as a guard at the facility, having gotten permission from both the academy and the local government. The students worry something similar might happen again, but Kaori reassures them that if anything goes wrong, the bear will simply become their next meal. With this, their study trip came to an end. The day of his audience with the king has finally arrived. Noticing the large group of ogres on the way, Yuya decided to clear them out with night in case they make trouble for Lexia's group. They see a helmet dropped, but fail to notice the rabbit saint observing them a distance away. Yuya awaits the coming carriage, and everyone prepares to head back to the palace. But first, they formally thank him for accepting their invitation. Night suddenly pushes Lexia away, just as a tree comes crashing down on them, and Yuya immediately takes notice of the threads. Luna is frustrated she blew her chance, but an invisible Yuya appears and attacks her, knocking her out. He is in disbelief when he realizes the assailant was Luna. Lexia followed after him, and as she questions who Luna is, Yuya truthfully explains she was the one that just tried to harm her. She infers that Luna is his acquaintance, and he apologizes as he wishes to treat and speak with Luna at his home one last time, unable to imagine her being a bad person. Lexia grants him permission, but Owen and the knights are now fast approaching, worried about her safety. Before they catch up, she states she will be heading to visit Yuya's home, and quickly runs off with Yuya. She's curious to know more about Luna's situation, but Yuya's in a bit of a rush, so he quickly teleports them using magic, appearing instantly in his room. Now somewhere safe, Lexia calmly asks Yuya for an explanation.